Yo, sup the people? What's going on? Me and Mowgli here. Mowgli's proper invested in this video, man. What's going on, bro? Anyways, we're here today. New Northlane. It's always one of the best days when Northlane drop new music because they are in fact one of my favorite bands in the modern metalcore scene, if you even want to categorize them as a metalcore band anymore. They are fantastic. I absolutely love what they're doing with all of the fun synthy stuff. Dante is still one of the best songs I have heard in the last year. Easily one of my favorite Northlane songs ever. They seem to just continuously get better. Now, in saying that, Miasma, when I first checked it out, wasn't my favorite by them. However, I've been listening to it on stream in the background a little bit more, and it's just starting to hit a little bit harder. So, as maybe not so critical as I was when I first heard it, you know, I was pretty critical of it just because I love Northlane and Dante was so fucking good. It was always going to be a letdown. I did grow to enjoy it a little bit more. However, it's still not my favorite style from Northlane. I love all the synth work. I love the heavies. You know, I love Marcus's attempt at doing like the Weekend style vocals on Miasma. And I personally would prefer if they did more tracks like that as opposed to the tracks like Miasma. Now, obviously, on an album or an EP, having a nice blend of the two is going to be beautiful because, you know, contrasts just make things more enjoyable over time. But today, we have a very interesting track because we have Afterimage featuring Ian Kenny of Carnival. And Carnival, for anyone who doesn't know, are another Australian like prog metal band, very in the same vein as Tool to a certain extent. Like this, you know, when I was checking out Tool for the first time years ago, people always commented on my videos saying, you got to check out Carnival, you got to check out Carnival. And I eventually did. I checked out their Sound Awake album. Unbelievable, man. Ian Kenny's such a great vocalist, and I'm interested to see how he sounds on a Northlane track because I never really would have put the two together other than the fact that they're both, you know, Australians. So very, very cool feature for us today. Obviously, we had the Winston feature. I was about to say Winston Churchill, which would be that would be a mental feature. Winston Churchill on a Northlane track, but Winston McCall, I think his name is, from Parkway Drive. He was on Miasma, and now we have another Australian feature. So this is just like a big, like, fucking Avengers of Australian metal bands being put onto this EP. So who knows what we're going to get next. Anyway, Afterimage, Northlane. It came out 4 hours ago. We have a visualizer, so I don't know if there's going to be a music video to follow. We'll see. From me and Mowgli, we're about to get into Army, bro. You're looking forward to the new Northlane track, are you? Be honest. Like, I know you're a bit of a, you're a Slipknot fan. You're one of those. But what's your thoughts? What? I hate the silence. It's heavy again, Mowgli. We're going chunky. gonna grow on me for sure, man. A lot more than Miasma, I think. I think so. I think I like this one more than Miasma so far. I'm 99.9% certain that was Ian Kenny contributing to the verses as well, and then Marcus was coming in. It was kind of like a mix and match. Alright, okay, so I've listened to the track a couple more times just to familiarize myself with it before we go talking about it. It's been a while since I've like sat down and really, you know, normally I like sitting down and listening to songs by myself because it allows me the opportunity to kind of sit down and actually like listen a few more times and really like dissect what I'm thinking. So I think these are like the better part of my reviews. Obviously when I'm on Twitch and stuff, you get like one listen and you're interacting with chat and there's so much more going on. So these ones I actually really enjoy just sitting down and listening in detail to each section and like formulating a more, I guess, coherent, bigger piece of a review section rather than just like giving my rating and then moving on. So listening to this at first, I have the clarity of knowing that after listening to Miasma, which was the second track, you know, following on from Dante, which was absolutely the best possible first single they could drop for getting me excited for, you know, the next era of Northlane. So Dante was an absolute 10 out of 10 track. Again, still one of my favorite songs they've ever released. Then Miasma came out with the Winston McCall feature, which was not my favorite. Just, you know, it had all the fun, low-tuned, sugar-esque, misplaced rhythms and lots of different groove changes. But for me, I don't know what it was. If it was just like a kind of monotone feel throughout it where it didn't really like feel like it had too many highs and lows. There was no real like ebb and flow or peaks and valleys to it. It just kind of felt like it stayed in the same range that was you know, we didn't get much like dissonance or contrast throughout the entire track, which is why I love Dante so much, because it just has so much vibrance to it. But in saying it, that was my first thoughts when it came to Miasma, and having heard Miasma a few more times, I kind of grew to really enjoy it. Now, it's still nowhere near the level of Dante in terms of my own enjoyment, but, you know, I went into this track knowing, right, okay, give this first listen the benefit of the doubt, because I've had, you know, previous experience with really not enjoying a track that much by Northlane, but coming to really appreciate it. So, definitely on a first listen, this one hit me a lot harder than Miasma did. Now, this one feels like a very good combination, or a very, like, accurate combination of the previous two singles. Miasma was obviously the real heavy hitter that was like balls to the wall intensity for the entire track. Dante was the more, I guess, sound that's aligned a little bit more with my tastes when it comes to, you know, experimentation, creativity in metalcore with EDM synths, and, you know, huge, beautiful The Weeknd pop style soaring vocals from Marcus. This one felt like a nice middle ground between the two. Obviously we got like the misplaced rhythm towards the end in the breakdown, and then we got, you know, some beautiful soaring vocals from Ian Kenny, which is the next part I want to talk about, because I'm kind of confused on the feature, because to be honest, I don't know what it is. Again, it seems like the mix on both Miasma and this track, because the nature of the tracks are a little bit heavier, and again there's a lot more like sharpness to the actual tones and the guitars. It's just tuned lower by the sound of things, and it's a more intentionally heavy track than Dante was. It feels like there is small portions of it, and again, I've listened to it on Spotify multiple times after. It's not just YouTube, it's not just like a compression on YouTube, it's like a real raw, gritty sound, which is kind of cool, to be honest. When it hits, but it's just trying to like actually get clarity on some of the like small finer details. Maybe I just need a better setup rig, I don't know. These headphones are pretty fucking decent and I generally don't have that many issues, but it's just like the small real fine details of the mix. Maybe I just need to remove some bass or something and go like fully treble mode where I can only hear, you know, all the intricacies. But it does feel a little bit muddy in parts, even just like trying to figure out, am I listening to Marcus right now or am I listening to Ian? It's kind of hard to like figure out now. There was some very obvious moments of Marcus and Ian, but because they kind of like go back and forth with each other on the verses, it's kind of really hard to know who's doing what at what time, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But because you're getting a feature on, it's nice to kind of know when the feature is on. But at the same time, I also really love, you know, when bands bring a feature on that works so well that you barely even know he's there, you know, because then it doesn't feel forced. But anyway, definitely a lot more of a clear contrast on this track, which I think is like the main thing that I want to like drive home, is that I love that contrast. Again, Northlane stuff for me has always been such a fun contrast, almost split three ways between melody, rhythm, and then that EDM synth as well. You know, I love the heaviness of it, I love the rhythms, I love the synths, and then I love the melody that they're capable of, because some of their choruses just get stuck on loop on loop. They just get implanted in my brain, especially with Dante. But yeah, we get the same guitar tone that's really gritty, powerful vocals that add some nice melody. So a great mix overall, really good contrast. Ian Kenny seems to play like a really pivotal role on this track, which is again surprising. I've listened to this track, I'd say maybe 3-4 times now, and I still can't fully make out and distinguish between which parts Ian is doing and which parts Marcus are doing. It feels like Marcus like really took a backseat. Ian is singing the chorus by the sound of things, and it honestly sounds like Marcus in parts, but also doesn't at all. So it's kind of hard to really know. There's some really obvious like Marcus harmonizing screams that's like backing up Ian Kenny, which becomes really obvious because Marcus's scream is just so unique to him. So that's quite obvious, but just in the like ebb and flow of the verses, it's kind of hard to tell between the two. It's definitely Ian Kenny on the second verse at the start, but I think Marcus offers some like, again, some harmonizing screams in the middle of that verse, and yeah, so that's like clearly just the back and forth, which is again really cool. I think that my favorite part of the song is the pre-chorus. The I can't ignore the after image is like, that is going to get stuck in my head. I think standout of this track is Ian Kenny. Again, I'm a big Carnival fan, and I think he just slots in pretty well to this song. And you know, his vocal melodies and all are absolutely beautiful. Go listen to Carnival. Only critique of the song I have, and it's just very slight critique, is maybe one, the muddy kind of weirdness in the production, but I feel like I got used to that. 2 is the breakdown. Maybe the only part of the song I can slightly critique. Nothing inherently wrong with it, but it did feel a little predictable for how exceptionally unpredictable Northlane are capable of being. You guys have heard Obsidian, you guys have heard Alien in particular. I think Alien is probably a better example of like something that's really fucking unpredictable, because it does everything that Obsidian does, but also has a little bit more heavy moments. I personally prefer Obsidian, but you know, just to play that argument. Overall, loving the direction of the new EP, but I'm hoping for some really intense experimentation like we've seen in the past on the 2 previously mentioned records with Obsidian and Alien, and just leaning into that like EDM gent fusion, and honestly more tracks that have vocal segments that are like really kind of slower, more passionate moments, like the way Marcus sings at the start of Dante. You know, the weekend vocal swells, like that production on his vocals just to me was chilling, and the whole song melody wise was fantastic. So that's my only critique, is the breakdown. I feel like it just kind of was a little bit predictable. Again, it was very kind of sugar, which again I love. That's like just a massive part of Northlane's inspiration, and I love Meshuggah, so they've taken like the very old school foundations of that, you know, sugar groove, and you know, added sparkles and diamonds to it and made it real modern, which I fucking love as well, giving it loads of, you know, vibrance. So for a rating, I'm going to give this track an 8.5 on first listen. I think it's a really solid track. I think it's better than Miasma, but it falls short of Dante. And that's all for me, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I don't know what Mowgli thinks. He's absolutely... Where'd he go? He's fucking gone. How did he open the... Oh, he's here. Hello? Mogs? He doesn't care. Mowgli gives it a 9 out of 10, but he's just saying that for the sake of getting me away from him. So yeah, that's all from me, guys. Like the video. Make sure you're subbed. Love yous all. Cheers. Goodbye.